Okay, in this last video, I'm going to show you a little bit of an advanced technique to deal with that problem of there actually being two circles defined by what we had done before. So we saw that in the original problem, if we had our two circles and then we use the geometric technique of the parabolas, the intersection of the parabolas here defines the circle that we're interested in. And if I go over here to tangent circle, that tool that I created, boom, there it is there. But also, there's one created out here, like there's another point of intersection. And if I do the tangent circle, I have one out here. So let's, just to keep track of things, I'm going to color my two circles red. All right. So, given our two original circles, or our one original circle, which gives our second original circle, if I use the parabola technique to get a circle that's tangent to both those in the line, well, there's going to be one between the two circles, and there's going to be one external to the smaller of the two circles. And, you know, if I switch that around so that if the second circle is bigger, let's see, it's on that side there. Okay. Now, for what we were doing, we were only really interested in the one that is in between the two circles, this little one down here. So how can we deal with that? Well, there's lots of tools built into GeoGebra, and if you go up to help and you go to the manual, it brings you to the online manual, and there's tons and tons and tons of things that you can do here, tutorials and so on and so forth. So what I had done when I was looking through this, I was looking for conditional commands. So commands that will put conditions on things. Because if you look at an object, such as, if we make this a bit smaller, move this stuff down. If I look at this outside circle here and right click on it and go to its properties, we get the usual stuff. You know, its name and its definition, whether to show it or not, its color, its opacity, and this line thickness and things like that, and any algebra that's involved with it. In this advanced, if you click on the advanced tab, there's this condition to show where we can put in a logical condition that controls whether or not we actually see this object. And that's what I'm going to deal with here. So if we look at the configuration that we have, we want sort of the one that's in closer to these two. Now, I could drop a perpendicular here and then create this trapezoid that's actually kind of related to the part A of the original problem that spawned all of these videos. And my point that I'm after that generates the circle that I want has to be in this region. If it's outside this region, it's not going to work. So we could use that. I'm actually going to use the circle that has the centers of these two original circles as endpoints of the diameter. So if I go to my points, I'm going to create the midpoint between those two, and I'm going to create a circle like this. And for now, I'm going to make that dotted. And we can see that if I move this thing along, because these two new points are points of intersection of this parabola with the parabola that D is on. If I move D along, notice D is on the circle by definition, and notice that that circle intersects the parabola that D is on in two places. It intersects it here and down here near the point of tangency of the other circle. And this point is inside there because it's on that parabola, so it's on that arc of the parabola that's contained inside the circle. The other one's outside of it. If I move this guy along and along and along and along and along, we see that the other point gets closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And actually, probably if we get to this point where D is at that point of tangency, so that I get a degenerate situation where the parabola is actually just a vertical line, my circle is just a point, those 2 points come together. Otherwise, one of the points will be within the circle, the other point will be outside the circle. So I'm going to use that circle to define whether I should see the point or not. So, for example, what I'm going to do is if I click on this G, right click on it and look at its properties, there's a command called isInRegin. It's a Boolean command. It gives us a true or false, and it takes as an input a point and a region. Okay, so I am going to say I want this thing to display the circle if point F, the center, is in this circle. So if I go F is in circle, I think that's circle H. It's kind of hard to see. Got so many of these things together. So let's see what H, well, it helps if I type H, yeah, it's H. Okay, so H. So if I go back to my G and I go is in region, point F, the center is in circle H, then that circle will be shown. So if I, as soon as I hit enter, notice that my circle goes away. If I move this thing along, stays disappeared. But if I go to the other side, on the other side, this is the circle there now. Notice we got 2 circles over here and 1 circle. 1 circle because this point F is outside this little circle, but if I go over here, notice that F is inside the circle. So if I did the same thing over here, let's make this big. Let's go to point E, and I'll go is in region. Now I want to make sure that E, the center of the circle, is in that circle H. And now if I move things along, I get the 1 circle disappearing and the other circle appearing. And I could actually do the same thing for the points. I could click on point F and say is in region F, comma H, and it should disappear now and only appear over here. And then do the same thing with this point here. is in region E H. And now as I move things along, we should only see one circle and one point. It's going to change labels. Now, my original intention was to build a tool that had that built into it. But when I started building the tool, I started getting error messages. And the reason I was getting error messages, I believe, is because I was getting a tool to create these two new points and these two new circles with these conditions of whether to display them or not. But the conditions to display them depended on the point that I was creating and not the original points that were being used to create the object. So I think my dependency of the condition is messing things up. So as a result, I couldn't get it to work. Now, doesn't mean it doesn't work. Maybe if anybody out there can figure out how to get it to work in a tool, you can just leave a comment in the video, and that'd be appreciated. But I suspect, actually, I suspect somebody will probably be able to figure out a workaround. So that's it for this. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments of the videos, and I'll try to get back to you.